joys of trying to film at home when you have a black cat, eh? Black cat. Hmm? Whoa. You're going to knock everything over, black cat, eh? You're going to knock everything over, aren't you? Hey, you're nothing but dreaded, aren't you? Eh? Dreaded black cat. Eh? Oh, he's purry. He's purry. Alright, there you go, black cat. Alright, now I've had a bit of fun with my cat. I will get into the worm video. Hey, Robbo here. Today I'm going to talk about worms and a bit more about composting. This is the fourth part in my little series of videos, which I will splice all together eventually and make one video out of. Alright, well, I'm just going to quickly give you a bit of a rundown on what worms do. Alright, worms engage in extensive channeling and burrowing. This loosens and aerates the soil that improves drainage and water retention. Worms will leave the castings as they burrow. These castings are water soluble and will improve the structure and fertility of every type of soil. This includes depleted, reclaimed and damaged land that has little or no topsoil. So, i.e. the bushfire zones in some places, this would work in reclaiming the land and bringing it back to life, because as you know, the fire burns everything out of the ground. Worms are generally vegetarians, so try and avoid putting meat in the compost bin. It makes it smell a little bit anyway, so it's a good thing to avoid. Poo's okay, they don't seem to mind that, just from experience. And as you probably saw before, I put a little bit of onion in it, which I shouldn't have done, because you've got to avoid onion, chili and citrus, as they just don't seem to like these things. And of course, avoid pesticides at all costs, because pesticides are just not good for the worms. Alright, now I've gotten that bit out of the way, I'll give you a brief rundown on how the worm drum works. Now what we do is, we're making a compost bin where the top and the bottom is open. And the reason the bottom is open is because the worms will come and go and they'll burrow through the ground for quite a reasonable distance. Different worms go further and further away, so you know, it could be half a kilometre, it could be 10 metres, how far away they live, depending on the type of earthworm you've got going. And they will aerate and turn the soil up and leave their castings everywhere around this worm bin, as well as helping create the humus or the compost material that you end up with in the compost bin when you're finally finished with it. So that is basically what you are doing with this compost bin, and the reason of painting it black is so it stays warm, because that helps the composting process, and that's why you want water in it and lime to bring the pH down. So I have given you a brief rundown on how these worms work. So I hope you go forth and make your worm compost bins, and hopefully every garden in Australia and farm will have one. I have made quite a few over the years. I've made some really big ones. I made a real big one. My mum and dad used to have an acreage, and I made a massive one with iron, and I went to the fruit and veg shop and got heaps of veggies, and then it works really well. It greened everything up around it. They do work really well through trial and error. So go make a worm compost bin. Have fun. All right, bye.